I am here with the greatest Vishal Malhotra.
Wow. Like I'm a goat?
So, Mr. Malhotra is an Indian actor, television host, and now a very celebrated podcaster. He made his acting debut with the popular television series Hip Hip Hooray in 1998. His charming portrayal of Tariq, natural charisma, and his easygoing demeanor made him a favorite amongst the audience. Hip Hip Hooray thus became a cult favorite. Vishal has appeared in numerous Bollywood films, including Ishq 2003, Kismat Konnection 2008, and Jannat 2 in 2012. He hosts one of the India's most successful podcasts, The Vishal Hour, which you all should watch because it's great.
Thank you.
He has garnered widespread acclaim for its engaging content. It engages with topics from pop culture to behind the scenes stories, and obviously, he's going to get a little more specific about his podcast further in the podcast here. Additionally, Vishal is a pioneer in the NFT space. He has created the world's first NFT funded film, solidifying his position as a forward thinking creative visionary. So, let us all, with our warm hearts, invite Mr. Vishal on the stage with us here.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me here. Thank you to Karnavati University to have me here. It's a privilege and an honor to be amongst such bright and amazing people. So, firstly, good afternoon. Really nice to have you guys here. I can speak in many languages: English, Hindi, Gujarati, Tamil, Portuguese, Spanish, French. Which one would you like me to speak in today? The truth is, I can only do Hindi and English. But really, thank you so much for having me here. It's an absolute honor. And to be quizzed with, I hope, tougher questions than the norm, which I'm expecting from you all. Let's go.
I hope we live up to your expectations.
And I hope I do too.
So, let's just start with the basics.
Mhm.
Can you please tell us about yourself and your experiences?
I'm a really simple guy who's kind of still trying to find my way in life. Um, like many of y'all, and like how we were speaking backstage, I'm still confused about what I want to be when I grow up. And that's, I think, the beauty of life. I used to hear that it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And I say, yaar, ye घिसा पिटा dialogue मैं सबसे सुनता रहता हूँ. But it's a fact. I want to be present. I want to be enjoying now. Besides that, I think what you've said are things which I have pretty much had very little to do with. And I'm not trying to be overtly humble about it, but these were things which came as parts of my life. And I did the best I could, and I enjoyed the most I could. And it became popular and famous. But I try very hard not to be identified as something. I like to be diverse in my identity. I like to be fluid. And that's my absolute direction in life. And I urge everybody that please follow your hobbies, follow your passion, become dentists, become designers, become doctors, do all of that. But that does not mean that you are a doctor, you are an engineer. You are you, and that is a part of you.
Wow. Mind blowing.
Is it?
It's very insightful, definitely.
Wow. Okay.
Because generally speaking, we don't expect actors to be fluid because it's a very secluded, very segregated sector
Mhm.
as per our perception of the actors. But what you said totally makes sense.
Well, it's more a human point of view. As I said, I don't want to be defined as an actor or a podcaster or an entrepreneur or
Right.
a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a husband or a son. I just don't want to. I feel that these are lovely things. And as human beings, we have the opportunity to have all of this. So why not be multi identified, right? This whole aspect of identification and pushing yourself down is so limiting. It's like a jail, yaar. As human beings, we've been given that privilege to be free. So why not do it? That's my point. That's just basically how it is.
Well, that's very interesting. Um, could you tell us about how you got your first gig in the industry? Because as you said inside that you were the face for Walt Disney India
Mm,
for 12 years.
yeah. This happened 30 years ago, my God. Um, I was basically sitting with a very close friend of mine. His name is Nimesh. And we were sitting on the wall of my college, bunking classes that day. Absolute nerd, skinny little boy that I was, still am. And this really pretty girl I see from a distance walking in our direction.
Hmm.
So in my past experience, I'm like, no, there's no way she's coming here. But that was one chance that she did. And she just said, hi, my name is so and so. And we're looking for the face of our channel. And there's an audition tomorrow. Will you come?
So this happened in your college.
My college,
And
Mithibai College in Juhu in
okay.
Mumbai. You're from Bombay, so that's in Juhu. And we were just bunking and sitting, and she says, we're looking for the face of our channel and we're auditioning tomorrow. Will you come? And I go, yeah. Without even thinking, I'm like, yeah, sure. So she writes down her number because 30 years ago, there were no mobiles. So she writes down her number, which is a land number, and she hands it over to me and she says, thank you. We'll see you tomorrow. I say, I'll see you tomorrow. And she leaves, and my friend nudges me and he says, what's an audition? And I'm like, I don't know. The hell should I know that? A pretty girl just give me her number. Isn't that what the objective was? So, yeah, I do sound like I didn't have any direction in life. I didn't. My passion was and still, besides acting, that's a passion which has grown. But my original passion is of aviation.
Aviation?
I'm a training pilot now.
Whoa.
I hope that one of my objectives to make money honestly is to kind of have the freedom to fly in my own Cessna whenever I want to. And I'm going to do it. It sounds pompous, but that's a huge motivation factor.
That's a shared dream of ours.
Oh, you like flying too? Oh, yeah, I have to tell you, then we'll have a lot of discussion. Over the last 17, 18 years, I've slowly built a flight simulator in my house. Yeah, little by little by little by little.
From your own hands?
Yeah. Well, and just learn the craft. And I'm training to be a pilot also. So whenever I get the opportunity, Bombay's air traffic is too crowded, so I have to travel wherever I can. But that's a later story. Coming back to this, I went for the audition the next day without knowing what an audition is. I'm sure all of you all know what an audition is. Basically, you get a script and you got to go in front of the camera and you got to kind of recite it and do the best you can. And then the team after that sees it, and if they think you fit, then they give you the part. And I got the part. And the channel she was speaking about, for which she wanted me to be the face of, was Walt Disney. And the rest, as they say, worked out fine. That's how it started.
Were you ever nervous since you didn't know about the audition? Since you didn't know what an audition is?
Yeah.
So were you nervous? Were you confused? How
It's
did
a
you feel
fantastic
in the moment?
question. The answer is point blank no. I, for some reason, from day one, have always been super, super comfortable in front of a camera. I'm pretty much of an introvert behind it.
Okay.
I'm socially awkward. I still get social anxiety. When I'm called for any of these filmy parties or these big events or these award functions, I get jittery. I don't want to go. So social anxiety is a thing, guys. I don't know if you all face it, right? But I do. It's like there's a bipolarity happening. There are two personalities. Right now, I'm extremely comfortable. Like I can do this without hesitating. But behind, I would be maybe a little less. Well, over time, that's overcome. But the answer to your question is not at all. And again, I don't mean to sound pompous or, ungrateful. But no, it came so naturally to me.
What do you think contributed to that natural instinct that you had?
A gift. We all are born with a certain gift. Sometimes a lot of us become lucky enough to kind of be given an opportunity to pursue that gift, right? Otherwise, there's a big, sometimes it's unfortunate that some people don't get the opportunity to recognize their gift.
Exactly.
Ye galat hota hai, right? And it's not their fault. It's not their fault at all. This was like, she was an angel. Besides the fact that she looked like one, she was an angel, and I never met her again.
Okay.
Never. But maybe it was a sign. Maybe she just came to make me find my gift. So it just came. I've never done any courses in acting. I've never had a passion for theater, I'll be honest with you. At the risk of sounding unpopular or not intellectual, I never intellectualized the process of method acting or getting deep into it. I have nothing against it, but I don't come from that mentality at all. I am very fluid in my acting. My research is only if my character is totally diverse from anything that I've not experienced in my life. So that is where it comes from.
How do you prepare yourself for an act, for a character, which is very specific? Be it emotional, be it funny, be it charismatic. How do you prepare for yourself?
So, as I said, I don't prepare in a preparation method acting point of view. But over time, what's really helped me is it'll be fun. The first thing that I get into the character of is how does that character walk? I feel that by the way a person walks, you really get 90% of the person's life. You really do. I mean, if my character is a confident people's person, he'll walk in a different way. If he is a shy person who's underconfident, he'll walk in a certain way. So I've always tried to determine the walk of a character first.
Okay.
And then it just lays off. Like of late, I have had the opportunity of being involved right now with a web series where I play my first negative character.
Your first ever negative
yeah.
character.
And I've been craving for it because I've always been positioned as the boy next door, the good boy, the fun guy. And all right, great. I love that. But that typecast really didn't work out well with me. And so I kind of decided to stay back till I found something really nice. And this character found me. So this guy is a very different kind of a black. And I'm loving it. For him, I had to channel into certain angsts and frustrations that I have in my life.
Okay.
A very dark process. And what I realized while I was doing this character is that, my God, it was such a, when a writer writes dark characters, they get carried away, right? Like people are getting shot and there's blood and there's so much strategy as how to ruin somebody's life. And you think it's all in the realm. But when you're doing it, I'm sorry to say this, but there's so much more connection to reality. What we as human beings, I feel, don't identify with and keep in a denial is we hide behind this garb of everything is okay. The moment we allow ourselves to expose to say, look, there is a black side to our personalities.
Exactly.
We are, and that's the beauty that we have been given, that we are not only one shade of white. We're every shade of white and black and gray and black and orange and everything. And this role has allowed me to totally take that in. So that's my preparations, and this is what this role has done for me.
You recently expanded as a producer for your first NFT produced, NFT funded film.
Yeah.
What do you have to say about it? How did you land there? What opportunity you identified that led you here?
So I have a production house which is robust, and we make a lot of ad films. That's been happening for a while. But during the lockdown, a lot of us got inquisitive about things, right? And I started watching a lot of stuff on YouTube about NFTs. And that excited me because it was a digital way of expressing your art. And also what really excited me is the royalties that an artist deserves and gets in an NFT, the fairness of it. I won't go into the details. So I reached out on Twitter and said, look, I would like to make an NFT. And I reached out to a lot of designers and artists and anybody who'd like to be associated with me. And a lot of people, with the grace of God, reached out. And we created, I became India's first actor to have created and sold an NFT. And that did well, and that kind of went into many NFTs. A point came when the lockdown was just about to get over, and there was a frantic call by my chartered accountant. And he said, कि boss, हमारी जो गवर्नमेंट है वो बहुत एंटी क्रिप्टो है और एक अभी लॉ आने वाला है जहाँ पर जितना भी आपने कमाया है वो जीरो होने वाला है. तो इससे बेटर है कि आप सब कुछ जो भी आपने क्रिप्टो में कमाया है आप बेच दो, पे अ फ्लैट 32% टैक्स ऑन इट एंड बी हैप्पी. इट्स बेटर देन गोइंग टू जीरो. आई सेड दैट सक्स. ठीक है. Me being a slight rebel, I said, okay, let me sell 50% of it. And I paid 30%. और उसमें से जो भी पैसे आए, it was a little bit of a nice chunk. अब मैंने बोला इससे क्या करें. तो एक आइडिया आया कि मेरे पास I had written, I like writing. So I had written about 2 or 3 scripts. And one script fit this budget to the T. So I said, why don't I use only this money and produce this film? And that's what led to Ilm, the film happening, which I wrote, I directed, and I produced. And it released, it found its platform on Hotstar. Right. And it did pretty well. And with time, we got recognized globally as the world's first NFT-funded film. So that's one proud moment that comes out of India. So that's how that happened.
Congratulations.
To all of us, to all of us. So, you know, like there's the first black and white film, or there's the first talkie film, or first color film.
Yeah.
The first NFT funded film comes out of us.
Produced by Mr.
Of us,
Mr.
us, all of us. The credit, I'm not just saying it, it comes out of us, all of us. Yeah, we should share that.
Okay, this is a little off topic, but do you have a specific emotion for your brainchild? Since it is your brainchild.
What? Which? Emotion?
Some connection.
Of course, it's my film. It's written by me. It is absolutely like there is an emotion. That's a lovely question. It's making me think so much. But of course, it's my product. It's like I've produced it.
Baby.
I'm staying clear from the baby terminology.
Okay.
Because it becomes a little off. But yeah, it is. It is something that is a part of me, and nobody can take that away from me. So yes, it's a fantastic question, by the way. I think it deserves a, great job. This is your first time you're doing this?
Yeah.
You're doing a rocking job.
Thank you.
Superb, yeah.
Okay, let's get into the dubbing part because you've dubbed a lot. You're a voiceover artist. What do you think? Is there any scope for dubbing artists, voiceover artists, and character artists further in the coming future?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a huge scope for, let me just say this out there. We are so fortunate to be in a country right now, and this is not pseudo-patriotism, okay? Don't get me wrong. We are so privileged to be in the right place at the right time, right? There is no other country in which aap jo bhi chhoge aur theek se karoge, there is a 90% chance of being successful. Really. Because we're in that growth stage of our country.
Do you say this by experience or?
By experience.
Okay.
By experience. Of 30 years of working, I feel the last few years have been extremely encouraging to allow me to do what I want to do. So this is, I feel, according to me, the most favorable time in the history of our country as Indians to be allowed to follow our passion and hobbies. I really feel that.
Definitely.
So voiceover, coming to a specific thing, huge market. Now let me tell you why. The number of languages that we have in our country, just simply on that basis. The number of people per language consuming that particular genre. Look at animation. Like recently on my podcast, I had somebody called Sonal, who is also known as Motor Mouth. She's a voiceover artist. She's the voice of Doraemon. Right?
Yes.
Oh my God. The diversity of what is available. Just as Doraemon, you can dub Doraemon in English, in Hindi, in Malayalam, in Telugu, in Gujarati, in Punjabi. Just there, you have an entire net worth of buying a house in, say, Pune. Right? So yes, tremendous scope. Tremendous scope. And since you brought up voiceovers, tremendous scope in the unorthodox form of professions. अब सिर्फ इंजीनियर डॉक्टर बनने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. अब आप डिज़ाइनर बन सकते हो. अब आप मेरी तरह एक एक्टर बन सकते हो. अब आप मेरी तरह एक पॉडकास्टर बन सकते हो. I don't know if you guys know, but Prime Minister Modi just did his first podcast with Nikhil Kamath.
Yes.
And I got to know this because of a meme I saw about how Ranveer bare biceps was throwing a fit. It is a meme. I found that very funny. He's a friend of mine. But the fact that our Prime Minister chose to do a podcast, I don't know if you all will agree with me, but the most important election of our time of the states, United States of America, was decided, I feel, that that nudge jo hota hai, according to me, was done by a podcast when President to be Trump now went on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Exactly.
And Kamala Harris decided not to. My God, I feel that this is the world of it. So it also feels nice that somewhere the intuition of starting a podcast 3 months ago is correct also. So what I'm trying to say is that you can be unconventional about your ideas, and it's beautiful to dream. You're allowed to dream for the first time in India, more than any other country in the world.
It's very insightful. You all should think upon that.
No, y'all are implementing it. I mean, your amazing university offers diverse courses, right? I mean, I understand that designing and dentistry is your upper hanging fruit, but then y'all have great departments with engineering and a lot of other fields also.
Yeah.
So, which is great. Just when I was entering in, there was a group of people doing, it felt real. You see, I've been doing this for a while. So I've had the privilege and the honor of visiting colleges, universities all over the world. But when you specifically talk about India, there was a certain patronage mentality. You know, wow, let's follow. I love the fact, a lot of actors won't, but I love the fact that it's like, oh, okay, cool. Not like, oh, it's honest. Really? Sorry. And what that does is that proves to me that the individualism of people is coming across. And if a university propagates it and creates an atmosphere where that's encouraged, you're in the right place. Absolutely. Because you must be the best version of yourself. I think that's the most important journey of your life.
I think the best part about our college is that the individual identity is really getting pushed here.
Yeah, I saw
you're
that.
forced, your people, just the people you're surrounded with force you as an individual to identify yourself, put yourself out there.
Bilkul. And that's exactly my point. Today, the most successful people that you see are people who are unapologetically themselves. I mean, who are the people that you can I ask you all this, if it's okay? Who, according to you, can you name people who you feel are the most successful in any field? Whatever name comes first in your mind, Indian or abroad. So, Narendra Modi. Individual, his point of view, his direction. Who else? Sorry? There you go. Why? Different? What's the reason? There you go. Who else? Anybody? We can think of 10,000 names. Right? Yeah, exactly. Right? A quirky guy with a quirky personality. Right? In my time, I don't think he would get a date. I'll date him now. Just kidding. But my point is that this is the point. If you can manage to be unapologetically yourself without, look, people misunderstand, according to me, my bhashan nahi dena, if I am, tell me to shut up, is that people misunderstand being unapologetically themselves to being rude to others. That's not the thing. We were speaking about the whole balance of life. यार बैलेंस ढूंढो ना यार, खुद की जर्नी आप करो, be yourself, love your hobbies, do your things, be the best version of yourself. But that doesn't mean you discard other people's points of views and say, no, bullshit, you're wrong. So individualism, I think, is the trend of our time. And I think that's one thing that we must all really gaat maar kal teko, because that's going to be our biggest reason to succeed. As Indians, I feel we're finally getting out of the shadow of the West. हम योगा करते हैं, हमने छोड़ दिया. वेस्ट ने किया, हम फिर से सारे एरियाज में योगा हो रहा है. कॉफी हम इतना अच्छा बनाते हैं, राइट? कॉफी पीना का कल्चर ही चला गया था. लेकिन कैफेज आने लगे तो अब एटलीस्ट वेयर आई लिव इन बॉम्बे, बैंड्रा वगैरह में तो एवरी नूक एंड कॉर्नर देयर इज अ रियली. सो आई एम नॉट सेइंग दैट वी आर कॉपी कैट्स, बट वी हैड लॉस्ट आवर आइडेंटिटी समवेयर, एंड दैट ऑब्वियसली वी कैन टेक बैक टू what the real culprits the Britishers did to us.
Definitely.
But let's not go there. That's a different conversation. Yeah. I'm just emphasizing on individuality. That's it.
So, how do you think you identified yourself when you were in the industry as an individual? Like, how did you find yourself? When did that happen?
I'm still searching. I really am still searching. I
But
will
there would
continue.
be definitely some part of you that you know that you're sure of. Ki, I am this. I abide by these values.
I think it's um, I think it's very situational. I would react to a situation and abide and create values according to my experience for that situation.
Okay.
So God forbid if I'm in a situation which is challenging, where somebody is attacking me for no rhyme or reason. Today, I guess my experience in life and everything that's come along with it would allow me to deal with that in a certain manner, right? So I again don't like to be confined to an individuality of that sense that this is who I am. On the broad level, I know who I am. Yeah, this is exactly who I am, guys. This is exactly who I am. And I have, मतलब मेरी वो जो scratch है ना, which a lot of us have, that's one great thing that my career has given me. It allows me to be a different person every day. I can be a comedian one day. I can be a murderer one day. Yeah. I can be a guy who absolutely disrespects society one day. And I can be the most obedient follower one day. So that scratch that we all have now, this is what my field allows me to vent a lot. So I'm sorry I'm circling around your question, but to be honest, I will not allow myself to be identified as anything. But then the contradiction comes is, तो मैंने अभी बोला था कि यार be the best version of yourself. And that answer comes in, know yourself. Know your basic ethics, as you said. Look, I want to be a decent person in my definition. And I'd said that very clearly. Individualism, but without offending people for no rhyme or reason. हाँ, अगर आगे से अटैक कर रहे हो, I'm sorry, I do not believe in the Gandhian philosophy if एक गाल दो और दूसरा गाल भी दे दो, थप्पड़ मारते रहो. Today we live in a world where people will not only do that, they'll punch and shoot you also. So protect yourself, be strong, find that balance, is my point of view.
Pretty cool.
Is it? Wow. देखा?
Let's circle back to the dubbing and the voiceover industry.
Yeah.
I want to know personally, would you suggest some ways that people could enter the dubbing industry? Are there some qualifications that are required?
Is there some reason you are asking me a lot about the dubbing and the VO world?
No.
Okay.
I'm just
Okay.
curious.
No. It's fine. It's fine. I mean, so great because this was a podcast I just shot with again Motormouth. So there are now social media allows you to reach out and DM a lot of these studios. Please reach out to these studios. And what she said is that sending your voice recordings really don't work because people don't have the time. So reach out to them on their DMs. They usually reply. And when they reply, then the course can be kind of followed. What you can do as homework is you can understand why you want to pursue voiceovers or why you want to pursue dubbing. And you can practice your skill. There are a lot of ways in which you can enhance your voice quality. Understand that there's a lot that goes into voicing and dubbing. It's not only just about mimicking voices. It's about understanding where what mood the actor is in that scene, where the actor is taking a breath, what's the emotion of the totality, what will happen before and after, who is this character. So basically, whenever I do voice, it's actually a little tougher than acting because in acting, you have the additional crutch and support of visual.
Yeah.
Right? I can do, and people will know that I'm surprised. Right? But if I have to express that as a voice, it's even more difficult. So, yeah, these are the few things that you can do. Simple. Everything is very simple. Keep it simple.
So, you need to like cold message people on Instagram.
Respectfully, yeah, why not?
Reach out.
There are a lot of studios in Mumbai specifically because that is the hub of entertainment. So please reach out to a lot of these studios, do a little research. It's very simple. Send them a message saying, I'm a voiceover artist. I have my interests. These are my experiences. Can I please read for something? Or can I come across and do something or send you something?
Even if I'm not experienced as much.
If
I'm starting as a beginner.
Yeah, definitely. If you're sending a very polite message, then the person will have an interaction with you, right? Will have an interaction.
Definitely.
And can I tell you something? When I just started off by saying, when I started my career, I had zero experience. I didn't even know I didn't know what an audition was, right? So maybe that's your calling. You never know. So cold message away.
I want to know, how did you transition from being a child actor to a more matured one? Because when you think about it, a lot of people who are acting when they are in their teenage years, they find or they face difficulties when they're transitioning into some matured roles.
So
So, how was your
I'll
experience?
respectfully correct you. I was never a child artist,
Okay.
right? I was always this. I started at the age of 17, 18. So that wasn't a child acting gig.
Teenage.
Yeah, that's where usually people start-ish. So I started off with Disney at the age of 18, where I was anchoring the shows. My first fiction job was with Hippipore. Before that, I'd done a bunch of ad films, Colgate and Britannia and all those brands. And then I did my first show called Hippipore. So my first acting gig actually happened at the age of 21. So the transition was not really from being a child artist and this thing. And I honestly don't propagate any child being in this line at all.
Are there some specific
I just feel that it's too much to take mentally. I feel it's a very difficult line on a mental health point of view. And I feel that it messes with the best of us. So as a child, your brain is developing. Let a child be a child. I don't think children should work at all till they need to, which is post 18, 19 if they feel like. But I absolutely, this might be a little controversial, but I don't propagate child work, child labor at all, and specifically in the film industry or television industry or the entertainment world.
Since you mentioned mental health and the industry, what do you think about, since we were talking about it backstage, you mentioned that you speak about mental health very regularly on your podcast. What do you have to say about it?
So let me start off by saying just this. In my line as an actor or as a public figure, my successes are celebrated publicly. Right? मेरी एक फिल्म आती है, मेरी एक शो आती है, जो भी आता है, लोग उसे देखते हैं और उन्हें अच्छा लगता है और वो सक्सेसफुल है तो तालियां मारते हैं और बहुत अच्छा होता है. But my failures are also celebrated publicly. You see, if there's a flop or there's a show which is not done well, etc., everybody knows about it. Now, if you're in a corporate job, right, say you hit your targets, you will be praised, you will get a raise, but there'll be a small peer of groups. There'll be 10, 15 people who will know it. Great. But suppose you fail, you get fired, you don't eat you don't do well on a certain project. There'll only be a very small group who knows about it. So imagine the mental health correlation here, right? Just from that platform of everything is public and everybody has a judgment on you. That's number one. Number two, you have very, very little control, if at all, over the destiny and your success. Definitely. Right? Today, it's on somebody else's choice. Now, if I'm looking from an actor's perspective, I'm not trying to discourage you. I'm just trying to turn around and put you all some points. Any artist, be it a painter, writer, actor, whatever. Today, I am on the mercy of everybody else. Starting from, will they cast me? They have 20 other choices. Do you know that a minimum of 1,000 people come to Mumbai every day with the aspirations of becoming actors and actresses, right? And that's the minimum. So firstly, I'm on the whims and fancies of somebody to cast me. First, get the job. Let's go one step before that. I'm on the whims and fancies of a casting director to consider me for that. Right? So before that, let's go one step before that. I have to be in the eyes of a casting agent or a director to say, we want Vishal. Once that is done, then a casting guy will probably call me. Then he'll audition me or she'll audition me. Then if I'm having a bad day and I don't do that well, or the director feels no, for any reason in the world, they will cast me or not cast me. Say I get casted. Then I have to go and perform this, which will take about 2-3 months. Once I've performed it, have I done it well or not? That's a different thing. Then does the project do well? Then if the project does well, will people like my character amongst the whole film? And then will somebody else see me and then begin the whole process again? So again, I'm not trying to be negative, but one must understand that in this line, there is a lot beyond the glitz and glamour. What you see on social media, or what you'll have seen through years, not y'all, but a lot of people get entrapped with the wrong reasons. Glitz and glamour is the last thing in this industry. This line is the least glamorous out of all the lines. It's more glamorous to be a pilot. Trust me. It is more real to be a pilot. Right? So don't come here for the wrong reasons. Your mental health is going to be challenged because the success rate is much lower than the failure rates in this. I feel extremely blessed to be a working actor for 30 years. I feel extremely blessed that there would be people here to come and listen to me, that you all will give me the time of the day. It proves relevance to a certain extent. Today, the mind retainership has come down to what? 3 seconds? 5 seconds?
2 seconds.
2 seconds. You got to, and so to be around for 30 years is a huge blessing. So I don't feel that a lot of people now going forth will have that opportunity. And I don't say this out of ego. It's just a fact of life. It's becoming so difficult for people to sustain because people are getting bored. There's so much more competition with social media. Today, there are people who are influencers and who make little skits on Instagram with their reels, right? And they're getting 1 million views, 2 million views. So why should I pay $1,000 in a city like Bombay for me and my girlfriend to go and watch a movie? It really must appeal to me. And that's the reason why you must be seeing that for the last 3-4 years, specifically the Hindi film industry is really on its spiral downwards.
Struggling.
Huge. So mental health is not only at a level. Today, I'm sure that the biggest star of our film industry, the biggest names of our industry are very, very concerned.
You mentioned, as you said, that there's a good part, there's a positive part about the industry, and then there's a somewhat negative.
Yeah.
How does one identify the right intent for them to be going here? How does one identify the pros and the cons of the industry, and how do they analyze it for themselves? Because for every other individual, it's going to be pros are going to be more, cons are going to be less, or vice versa.
So we have something really beautiful called our gut, right? Listen, you just know. Like, you know whether this conversation is going well or not, right? I know.
Do you?
Well,
what do you think?
I'll keep my opinion to myself right now. But when there are people walking out, it doesn't feel so good. No, but on a serious note, there are goods and bads in everything in life. But again, it's a simplistic approach, right? You will know when things are right and wrong. My basic formula is simple. Do I sleep without any trouble, or do I not sleep? And when I'm all alone in that dark room, usually I'm all alone. But when I'm all alone in that dark room, just before I'm going to sleep, am I comfortable or not? That is an indication of basically where life is going. And the same goes with the industry. But you will know, like you know in any other workplace.
Okay. According to you, personally speaking, what are your right intents? What are the right intents that you think?
For what?
For being in the industry.
Okay. That's a great question. So, look, people often, I feel, get into this industry for the wrong reasons. And I said, it's the glamour, it's the glitz, it's the whole fame and fortune and money that they look at. Trust me, that is very, very, very negligible, right? Get into it for your right reasons, right? My right reason was that I wanted the number of a very pretty girl. But that is what, that's the wrong reason. But it worked out right for me, because when I did that audition and I started shooting that show, I realized that this is my calling, right? You'll know. But please, I request through your medium to everybody out there, do not get into this industry until and unless you are aware and you've done some kind of an homework. And let me elaborate that very quickly. Number one, okay, your acting, your dance classes, your gym, your all that is one small part of it. You must be a good performer. You must be somewhat of an expert in your language, in your craft, in your exhibit. Something you have to have. It's not usually like your mother tells you, "Beta hero lag rahe ho, tum Shah Rukh Khan lag rahe ho, to main chalo Bombay chalta hu." But you'll be surprised a lot of people do that, right? So go for the right reasons. Number two, this I don't think a lot of people put emphasis in. Please make sure that you have a financial backing if you're coming to Mumbai to try your luck as an actor. Because 9 out of 10 times you're not going to get the part. And even when you get it for the first few years of your life, you're not going to make enough to sustain yourself in Mumbai. So I've seen many people coming from various lovely parts of our country. And as we know, Bombay is one of those cities where the houses are very, very small and extremely expensive. And lifestyle is extremely expensive. So if you're anyways coming from a different part of the country, to share your little space of 200 square feet with 5 other people who also want to be actors, and all you do all day is go for auditions and keep getting rejected, imagine the negativity that's brewing just there. Imagine the trauma on that person. And then that leads to a lot of negative decisions in your life, right? Because you're compelled to. Then you have been told by your friends and your family or for whatever reason, ki boss, tu to Shah Rukh Khan hai, you're the biggest thing. That ego of not going back, because you'll be dubbed as a failure. As I said, here your failures are public. This is very, very, and trust me, they're celebrated by your closest. Arey beta, aajkal dikhte nahi ho tum. Is, oh God. But the fact of the matter is, imagine being in that situation. So be financially prepared. I don't know how you're going to do it, but have enough to sustain a decent life, because it's going to be a while before you start making money for most of the people.
Definitely.
Right? Have a group of 2 or 3 friends or people who are your actual well-wishers, because you'll need people to talk to. Right? These are basic things which people do not follow through with when they come and leave their secure sanctity to come into this area. So please keep all of this in mind before you're coming here.
Cool. Since you mentioned the podcast, the Vishal Hour, can you please let us all know about it?
Okay, I think we'll wrap this session up with that, because I think there's a lot. I don't want to bore anybody. But here's the thing. This was a podcast which I started about 3 months ago. It's called the Vishal Hour. And the idea is basically for me to speak to people who are experts in subjects that I absolutely am passionate about. So people expected me to do a podcast which is only about the film industry. That's one part of it. But I love geopolitics. So I've had an Abhijit Chawda. I love finance. So I have an Anil Singhvi, who's the Z business head.
Yep.
I love mental health. I love stand-up comedy. So I have Zakir Khan, right? So it's an amazing bunch of people. I love sports. So I have Saina Nehwal, right? I like spirituality. So I have Shri Shri, from The Art of Living.
Shri Shri Ravi Shankar.
Yes, absolutely. And I love the diversity of all of this. I love entrepreneurs, right? I love women. So I love women who are entrepreneurs. And when I say this, I mean this in the most non-sexist way. I mean it because I'm not one to patronize. I hope you got that much from my conversation. But I genuinely feel that nature has made women more superior than men, just point blank, just from the fact that women give us birth, right? So I'm not here to patronize or fluff anybody. That's not my intention, or I don't care. But I believe that. So when I combine women with entrepreneurship, I love. So I'd like you all to research her name. So y'all can do that. She's the founder of Yoga Bar, and she sold her yoga bar company to ITC at 500 crores about 6 years ago. And you'd be shocked how simplistic that woman is. It's amazing. And not only that, even men are very dynamic in their culture and everything. But that's what my podcast is about, having lovely conversations politicians, the Haseen Poonawala, a lot of people. And I hope through your connect, I can get more politicians to come and join my podcast. Controversial topics which I don't create, but I allow them to create a safe environment to speak it. Like, I can even dwell into the fact that whether I agree to it is a different point of view, but you're my guest on my podcast, so you're entitled to your point of view without hurting sentiments. So I'll just give you an example of how one of the podcasts with Abhijit Chavda, a geopolitical guy, turned around, was very emphatic about his difference in opinion of what Mahatma Gandhi is pursued as in India. And he had his reasons. Whether I agree to it is irrelevant, but it is an interesting conversation, not for the sake of hate. It is a conversation for the sake of why do you feel that way? Right? Why do you feel that way? Because of X, Y, and Z reasons. Oh my God, that makes sense. But how do you know that historically? It's documented. Or one of my latest podcasts with Abhishek Kar, it's touching 1 million views right now. People are coming up to me and saying, but I disagree with that point. All right, great. If you're not just being a troller for the sake of being a troller, and most of the trollers are basically people who need validation, nothing else. I'll also like to end this up with how do you deal with trollers. But just to end this point, he has a different point on how the industrialists of our country are doing things that they're doing, about the Ambani wedding, for example. Why was it such an extravagant event? I didn't know. Who's Ori? Why is he such a phenomenon? These might be clickbaits, but when you actually get down to conversing about him, I really find it intriguing. And that's why it'll be nice if people kind of watch it. There is absolutely no agenda, because I don't make money out of it, really pursue it. I have other sources I'm very thankful for, and I say this with humility and gratefulness. But it is just a conversation which happens in my actual den in my house, with me chatting with a buddy, and we're having a conversation about life. And we just chat, and a lot of good stuff comes out of it. So please reach out to it, see if you like it, and if you do, spread the word. It'll be nice. And just to conclude this with how I deal with trollers, I know, and I say this and I emphasize it because people of all ages, and especially the phase you all are going through in life, according to me, there will be difference of opinion and stronger opinions than we have ever faced in our lives. Whenever somebody has trolled me, and I can somewhere sense that the person is trolling me for attention, like this is shit, who the hell are you? You are just doing this for the sake of it or some crap reason. I actually have a reply which says that, hey, I appreciate your point of view. I would like to understand why you feel that way. And I will keep it into my consideration and try to do better next time. 100 out of 100 of those people, well, they're not 100, but 100% of those people have turned back and followed me, because I've realized that the biggest reason for somebody to have a troll mentality is because they've not got validation in their life. So you validate somebody for the right reasons, you give them that little importance and that year, there'll be less hate in this world.
Yeah.
People just want to be heard, yeah. People just want to be heard, and people just don't want to be manipulated. That's it. Just respect, live, and let live.
Let's close on that.
Let's close on that. Thank you.
Thank you for your time and wisdom that you shared with us today.